They only have one beer, okay. All right, let's be real, that's how it should be. But apparently in Europe, you don't do that? Really? It's so true, it's such a problem in the US. It's crazy how much better it is. What is up? Welcome back. Today we're watching a video about the US versus Europe and guide to cultural differences. I want to know what he talks about because there's so many differences between the US and Europe, so I can't wait to get into this video. If you're new here, what's up? My name's Aaron and this is Aaron Arnold Reacts. Through this channel, my goal is that we learn together about European culture, sports, food, and just everything about Europe. Together, I want us to discover so much. So if you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure to go ahead and like and subscribe. Now let's see what cultural differences he breaks down in this video. Let's go.
Hey there, we are guides from Prague, Czech Republic, and this is one of our favorite pubs. But somebody just recently left a nasty review complaining about the fact that the waiter simply asked them, "You want a beer?" The waiter brought the beer, and then once the person was finished, they brought another beer. And this guy was complaining about it. What is he talking about? That's the best thing. Once you're finished with your beer, they bring another one. So for me, from the perspective of a Czech European, that's a good sign. For an American, that may be kind of weird or rude. So today we want to talk about cultural differences between our country, our city, and United States of America.
Let's go.
First of all, you may be surprised what the beer looks like. Well, we have a video dedicated only to that. And second, when I walked in, I didn't look at a beer menu or something that may be quite common in United States where you have different beers on tap.
True.
Most pubs and restaurants in Czech Republic will have one brewery on tap.
That is really interesting. I thought they would have at least 2 or 3. They only have one beer. Okay. So they have one beer and it's really good. That's what I'm getting out of this. In the US, you definitely see like 10 or 15 beers. It's too much. It's crazy.
One brewery on tap in the pub. So that's why you can walk in and just say, "I'll have one."
I'll have one.
Like that. You walk into a pub and you don't have a million choices. You just say one. In US, not only you have a choice of beers that are on tap, quite often there's 5, 10, 20.
Oh my gosh.
But also they will ask you, do you want draft or bottle?
True.
What kind of question is that? The reason you go to a pub is to get beer on tap, to get draft beer. If you want bottled beer, you go to a supermarket. So for us, that's a big cultural difference that quite often we don't understand. Now a beer here costs 55 crowns, let's call that $2.50 to round it up.
$2.50?
If you go to a stadium, to a sports event here in Prague, it's gonna cost around $3.
Okay, that's a fair price.
Nothing like that in US. If you go to a pub, it may
so much
cost
more expensive.
$5, $6. And you go to a stadium,
at least,
and it can cost $10, $15, even $20.
It's insane.
Honza hates it. Whenever he goes to a sports event, he's always shocked with the price of the beer.
It's crazy.
I myself, when I travel to US, I usually don't go to sports events, but I like amusement parks. And just recently, I visited Universal Studios.
Great spot.
It was the most expensive beer I ever had in my life.
That's so real. Beer in the US, anything alcoholic in the US is insanely priced. I think drinks in New York City are $20 plus, maybe $25 for a drink. For an adult beverage is $25. He's absolutely right. The US is insane about prices, but apparently it's amazing in Europe.
$15.
That's
I could
crazy.
not believe it. Now, I understand that going to amusement park, you don't go there for beer, you go there for the rides, but still, $15?
15's crazy.
It was insane. Why did I do that? Also, fun fact, I did not take a picture of the beer, but I did take a picture of the receipt.
Crazy.
Now, the price of the beer, as I said at the amusement park, was $15. But I was asked to pay more than $16. Why? It said 15. Well, tax was not included. What is this about? We go to a place, and I'm not only talking restaurants, but any store shop, and the price tag is the final price you pay. It says 55 here, it's gonna cost 55.
All right, let's be real. That's how it should be. The US just does it a backwards way. It's terrible that you have to add the tax after you know the price. If it's $20, it should be $20. He's right.
They include the tax. Why don't you do that in US?
Yeah.
It's just sad.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine me, I'm 11 years old, I have my first dollar ever, and I walk into a dollar store, looking forward to buy something for $1. I pick up the item, go to the register, $1.50. What? It's a dollar store, everything costs $1, not dollar store plus tax. Now let's switch from drinks to food. In any place, you can get some food, right? Mostly you pick something from the menu and no further questions will be asked. Well, in US, quite often they will ask you how you want to customize. Do you want bacon? Do you want that cheese? Do you want this cheese? Do you want this or that and that? it gets quite confusing for us.
It's too
And
much.
You can imagine me being 11 years old in US, in New Jersey, first walking to a restaurant, ordering a burger, very much looking forward to it. And they asked me, how do you want your burger done? I said, I don't know, very well done, thinking that they would make it completely. Yeah, you can imagine what happened. They brought this black piece of meat that was unedible. And all my friends had a laugh about it. Now, to be fair, if you go to a restaurant in Prague
That's so real,
nowadays
yeah.
and you will have a burger, they will ask you how you want it done. But once again, the fact that you can customize anything at a restaurant in US
Waffle House.
is very uncommon for us here. So if you come to a pub or a restaurant in Czech Republic, don't expect that you can customize every single item on the menu. That's why there's
That's
a
good.
menu with things that you pick from.
Makes
I
it
really hope we
simpler.
didn't lose our subscribers from United States. We love you guys. So to say something that we consider to be amazing in US that we don't have here is
Refills.
water.
Oh,
Free
water.
at a restaurant, at a bar, anywhere.
I thought they
You
did
sit
have
down
that
at a
here.
table, and in US, you get a glass of water. Never happens in the Czech Republic, ever.
Really?
Not only that, if you ask for tap water, quite often they will say, no, we don't serve tap water. And you will get a tiny little bottle of water that you will pay for $2, $3, $4. It's ridiculous. I know a restaurant where I go to, and I will always say, can I get tap water? And they're like, no, we can't do that. We can only sell you a bottle. And I quite often say, I'll pay you the same price that I'll pay for the bottle for tap water. Like, no, we can't do that. Let's talk about service in restaurants and
Oh,
pubs,
this is a good
because
one.
that
This is
may
a great
be
one.
bit of a shock for you when you come to Prague.
It's
Yes,
beautiful.
quite often it is rude and not polite at all. That's also a huge difference for us when we go to US, and a waitress will come to our table and she will introduce herself and she will smile and she will maybe recommend something from the menu. That would never happen here. I mean, it's changing,
What?
don't get me wrong.
All right, this is something I do every time I go to a restaurant. If I go to a new place and I don't know what to get, I'm between maybe 2 or 3 things. I'll ask the waiter, hey, should I get this or should I get this? And they always say, oh, I like this better. But apparently in Europe, you don't do that? Really? Why not?
Service is getting better. But if you go to like a local place, a dive bar, which I would consider this place to be,
Okay.
quite often they'd be grumpy, and it takes a long time for them to get to know you. And after maybe a 20th visit, they will
20th
share
visit.
a little smile with you. Not like in US. First time visitor, oh, I love coming you
So
to
true.
our restaurant. My name is Wendy. Can I take your order? Hey, Wendy. Speaking of Wendy, when I was first called darling
Wendy.
or honey in a restaurant in US, I was like, she really loves me. She just
She
called me
loves-
darling. I like that. I mean, I like the bartender here, but he never calls me darling. Let's make it stay that way, okay? We're tough guys. Even though the two of us consider the service at places in the United States very good and very nice and very
Okay.
polite, there is one thing that we consider to be very rude. And that
Coming to the
is,
table?
you're finishing your meal or maybe you're halfway through and suddenly a bill lands on your table.
Oh,
What is that?
yeah.
Are you kicking me out? That would never happen here. Any business, restaurant,
That's so
pub,
true.
coffee place tries to keep you in the place as long as possible. You're done with your meal, they'll offer you a dessert. You're done with your dessert, they will offer you coffee. You're done with your coffee, maybe you want to start over and have another appetizer. In other words, they
Wow.
want to keep you in as long as possible. You have to ask for the bill. In US, very often, you're halfway through, here's your bill. I'm like, well, maybe I
So
want
true.
another something.
It's so true. It's such a problem in the US. They really try to rush you out of the restaurant. I don't know why. I guess the more tables they turn, the more tips they get. I don't know. But they always rush you out, and that's so true.
No. The bill is already on the table. Just weird. Speaking of the bill,
That is
let's
weird.
dive into tipping. And that can create some
a big one.
issues because that's a big cultural difference. In US, quite often we get asked, do you want to tip 15, 18, 20, 25%?
I think
Which
it's
for us
higher,
is like,
yeah.
whoa, that's a lot. A quarter of the bill just tips because it's a tip-based country or tip-based business.
Yes, it
In
is.
Czech, that used to be very, very different. I mean, my dad would only round up the bill to the next higher number. If the bill was 99, he would round it up to 100. I believe
Wow.
most of our dads and mothers still do that. Nowadays, it's changing even here, and tipping goes from 10% higher if you're satisfied with the service. If the service
Wow.
is really bad, some people will simply not tip. If that would happen in the US, that you would not leave a single cent on a tip, I've experienced people running out the restaurant and be like, what happened? What did we do wrong? Like, why did you not tip?
Wow.
So tipping is very, very different. And I'm curious what you will say about that in the comments. Whatever
That's
country
really
you're from, I
interesting.
want to read what's the average tipping in your country.
I thought tipping wasn't really a thing in most European countries. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Now, this cultural difference is not only huge, but I consider it to be evil. And that is packaging.
Evil.
And garbage in general. I'm not talking about if you go to a place where it's a takeout or you go to a fast food. Yes, they put it in a paper bag.
Wendy's.
Either if you're in US or here. But I'm talking about if you go to a restaurant and they create so much garbage, so much waste, even though you're at a restaurant. Quick example. Mostly if you get a drink at a bar in the US, they put a napkin under it. So it soaks the moist that's running under it. Well, that's for one use only. Afterwards, they will throw away the napkin.
It's true.
How about they use coasters? Because you can reuse the coaster. And that's just one very simple example. Another one is if you
So
order
true.
a ketchup at this place, they will bring it, either a bottle, some places in US do that too, or they put it in a ceramic cup that they clean afterwards. Not that they grab 20 ketchups and throw them next to your
Packets.
burger.
Oh, it's so
or
true.
even in McDonald's in Czech Republic, you pay for every single tiny packaging
Yeah, not
of
in
any
US.
sauce, any ketchup. So you
pay
think
for
about if you
every
want one or
package.
two. In US, yeah, can I get some ketchup? Here you go, here's a million ketchups in tiny little bags. No, don't do that.
So true.
I mean, you guys are going all Michael Bay packaging. Like, hey, yeah, that's a plastic bag. Let's put it in a paper bag and let's put more packaging and pack it up. You want it to go? Yeah, let's pack it up more. Whew. Meanwhile, in Europe, yeah, let's get rid of plastic straws. They really destroy the universe.
Paper straw
There's going to be
movement.
one hell of a discussion under this video. I absolutely love you guys from US, and I love going to US, just so you know. We both do. Please don't cancel my ESTA. Now let's drop the beer for a minute, and let's talk about coffee and coffee culture
Oh, this is a
differences
huge
between
one.
USA and Europe. Triggered already? Well, you'll get
Triggered,
triggered
yes.
more. Yes, in Europe, we do not consider this to be a cup of coffee. That's a gallon of coffee. If it's more than a gallon, it's not coffee. This is a cup of coffee. By the way, shocker, they have a cup of coffee in this pub. It's served in a ceramic cup. It's this size. You have a plate under it. It makes
Tiny.
that little noise when you put it down. You sometimes even get a spoon with it so you can mix your little espresso. And this is how you drink it. Not a gallon. Doesn't fit in your car so you can
That's
drive
so
and
true.
sip on your little coffee soup throughout the day. Big difference, big shocker for us when we go to places in US and they simply
So fair.
don't serve something like this.
It's so true. The coffee in Europe is just so much better. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I drink coffee all the time in the US, but in Europe, it is so much better. It's crazy how much better it is.
Hold your horses. I know that coffee culture in US is changing depending on which state you live in, if you live in a city and so on. But still, mostly people think this is coffee and you cannot get this. It's sad for us Europeans. Can I get a cup of coffee? You want Venti Grande, Grande XL, Grande XXXXL?
That's
like
only
the Italians
Starbucks, bro.
drink it. Whoa. Now this next cultural difference may sound weird, but I believe it should be addressed. And that is restrooms and toilet sizes in restaurants and pubs. And I'm not talking about the actual seat size, but I'm talking about you have a big pub and there's one toilet. There's like one restroom for the entire pub where there's like hundreds of people. And the stalls where you can like sit to do number 2 are very like see-through.
Open.
Like there's no privacy. Like there's no door at the bottom.
All right, this might be the biggest cultural difference that I've never thought about. This is so real. Do you see this? This is actually what it looks like for the stalls in the US. Everyone can see your ankles, they can see your feet. When you pull your pants down, they can see everything you're doing under the stall. It's actually so weird now that I take a second and process it.
There's no privacy. Like there's no door at the bottom. Like if somebody peeks, they can see you. Yeah, it's kind of strange. And girls talk about that a lot. Both our girls talk about it, how like it's kind of weird that people can't really see you. So that's a big difference. If there's a big pub here, it has many restrooms, many toilets,
fair enough,
and
fair
it
enough.
can do the business people need and accommodate many people at the same time.
Can't be that nice.
And of course, the ones we mentioned are not the only cultural differences between our continents. There's many more. We can talk about different units, we can talk about different forms of transportation, how we move around cities and countries, how big are our cars and your cars, and many more topics.
That was such an amazing video from Honest God. He made me laugh so many times with these cultural differences. They're actually so true. The way he broke that down was hilarious and so real. If you want to keep exploring Europe with me, keep learning about everything European culture, food, sports, people, anything you can imagine, make sure you like and subscribe so you can see more videos just like this in the future. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.